Hello, welcome to Shad Life, where I have over 40 years of BMX and mountain biking experience, and I like to share it with you awesome people. Today, I'm going to talk about pitch control or row anti row. I've referred to it as kind of both. Um, with me going over this big stack of rocks here. This is actually at Theater Worth in Minneapolis. Super fun trail. But I'm going to show the concept that I talk about pitch control of the bike and how you don't want your body to get thrown back by your bike as the bike pitches back and then thrown forward by the bike as the bike goes forward. The first thing about this is you need to get out of the saddle. You can't be seated while going over stuff like this. I mean, you can, but it's pretty dangerous, pretty risky. It's not going to be a very fun ride. The idea here is I'm going to unweight the front wheel, unweight the rear wheel as the bike goes through the rock and maintain my momentum. If you ever find yourself doing features like this and you realize you stall as you try to go up and over something, it's probably because you're not helping the bike go over. You're probably like slamming into it, whether that's with the front wheel or the back wheel or anything. So I'm going to show you how I ride over stuff like this and how I unweight the front wheel, unweight the rear wheel, how I push the bike through and all of that and maintain my momentum. And this is a pretty sizable feature. I wouldn't say it's huge, but it's pretty big. It definitely looks intimidating when you come up to it on the trail. And there's plenty of videos of me with the GoPro on my chest hitting this very rock. Any of my Theater Worth videos I've done, I'm pretty sure I've hit that rock in the video. All right, so let's get into the details on this video.
Okay, so we're going to talk about one, riding over a rock, but the main point that I want to show here is this idea of pitch control or row anti-row. I've talked about pitch control before, and the idea behind pitch control is that you have your body centered on the bike and not necessarily centered between the front and rear wheel. I'm trying to think of the best way to describe this, and the best way that I can describe it is centered in relationship to the ground, or keeping your body as perpendicular to the ground as you can. And in order to do that, you have to be fluid on the bike. So we're going to back me up here a little bit and I'll show you exactly what I mean. So I'm approaching the rock, and as I approach, I don't just smash into the rock. Look at my body position. My weight is back. I know I need to lift the front wheel, but I don't actually lift it off the ground or off the rock. I unweight it so it rolls up, and you can kind of tell a little bit as I go up that you don't see my fork compress much. See, it's probably hard to tell, but if you look at my cursor, that's the stanchion right there, and there's the brace. So you do not see my fork compress, and the reason why is because I actually pulled up on the front end. So that's key right there. I don't just smash into the rock and let the fork and the bike take the brunt. I pull up right there. And then as I'm coming up, you see me pulling with my arms. You can actually see, my muscles, tendons, whatever, flexing there because I'm pulling. And you now start to see me bring my weight forward. So if you look back here, I got my weight back to pull up the front wheel, then I'm bringing my weight up, so I'm kind of standing up almost a little bit. Yep. And I am focused on being perpendicular. See this vertical to the ground. I'm basing my body position on the ground, not on the bike. If I was still balanced between the front and rear wheel, I'd be way back here, but I'm not. And So that's kind of the mistake a lot of people make is if they're at, for one, you want to get out of the saddle because if you're sitting on the seat when you do stuff like this, your body's just going to get pitched back and pitched forward and all of that. You want to be standing with your cranks parallel to the ground, right? And then as I get to this point, I'm looking way up here somewhere. I'm not looking down at my front wheel or my rock. I'm looking out ahead and I'm going to push the bike. This is the anti-roll part. And you'll notice I'm standing up. I start to push the bike through and then I'm starting to come down. Now the bike's starting to pitch down, right? So where is my body naturally going to go? I'm not going to keep it forward because I don't want my weight lunging forward over the front wheel. I want my weight to come back. And again, trying to keep as perpendicular from the ground as I can. And then you'll see I come back and I let the bike, look at how far back I go. Like the bike is pitched way forward and I'm back here over the rear axle. But if you look at the ground again and look at my body, I'm centered and perpendicular from the ground. Of course, I'm in a big crouch because I got to allow. This is that kind of when you do the anti-row, I'm pushing forward and I'm absorbing with my legs. I'm allowing the bike to come up and over. Again, I'm not standing upright. I'm allowing my body to compress and unweight the rear wheel as it comes over because I unweighted the front wheel to get into the rock and I unweighted the rear wheel as it comes over. This is how you maintain speed as you go over the rock. And then it's at this point it's just riding it out. And you see that as the bike starts to level with the ground, I start to come forward and keep matching that angle, and there I am riding away centered on the bike. So that position right here and the position as I'm probably off camera here because here I'm starting to get ready to pull back. So let's watch that in slow motion real quick. So again, notice how little my fork. See, my fork actually, if you really watch close, you actually see it decompress. Watch right here. So it has a little bit of a compression, but I actually decompress the fork because I'm pulling up on the front wheel. It's kind of hard to see, but let's watch it again. Yep. So the movement that the fork is making is simply just because it's going over bumpy surfaces. You don't want to just ride into things. You want to smooth them out, and the way you smooth out things is by using your body. Also notice I'm on my hardtail here. I don't need a full suspension bike to do this. That's my Esker Hey Duke, full on hardtail. So, this idea that you need all this suspension to ride features like this is not necessarily true. Does the suspension kind of, help? Yeah. So, okay. So that is my video for today. Just teaching that concept of row, anti-row. Right? So it doesn't always just apply to catching air. It applies to this kind of stuff too. Cool.
So there you have it. If you like these kinds of videos, let me know. The way you can do that is by hitting that like button. If you like the content on my channel in general, hit the subscribe button. Hitting subscribe will get my videos to show up in your feed more often, and then you can see my other content. I also like comments. If you have questions, or just comments in general, have at it. I usually respond if people have questions within a day or so. I like to be pretty interactive on my channel. I really appreciate your support. Please like and subscribe. Peace.